Gisingin na ang diwa, salubungin ang umaga. Handa ka na ba? Masdan mo ang daluyong, umaagos ang pagtulong sa kapwa. Sa kapwa, may sinag sa iyong puso na hindi na maitatago. Ang silong mo'y lisanin na. Liwanag mo'y sisigla kung tayo'y magsasama-sama sa lupa nating naghihingalo. Tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mailap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago. Yakapin ang pagkakaiba. Liwanag mo'y sisigla kung tayo'y magsasama-sama sa lupa nating naghihingalo. Tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mainap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mainap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago. Tayo ang pagbabago. Liwanag natin iisa, kaya tayo nang magsama-sama sa lupa nating naghihingalo. Tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mailap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago, sabay nating suyuin. Mailap na pagkakaisa sa pagsikat ng bagong araw. Buong pusong isigaw na tayo ang pagbabago. Bago. Tayo ang pagbabago.
Alright, maayong gabi, magandang gabi, maupay na gabi to everyone here watching our live Tayo Talks episode. So, Tayo Talks is our own version of catching up with our friends, our partners, our alumni, and we want to engage you, everyone here tonight listening to our Tayo Talk episodes. And tonight, our Tayo Talks episode is themed at conversations on financial literacy. And we want to talk about our mission to improve the access of underserved communities to financial services and resources. Now, before we start, I would like to give a shout out to everyone watching here tonight. We hope that you can press share so that we can have more a more engaged conversation. We also hope that you can leave comments so that we can hear your thoughts about our episode for tonight, and send in your hearts, ladies and gentlemen, and our friends of the LGBT community. Now, um, tonight I am very privileged to be in the same room with amazing people in the field of financial literacy. So tonight, allow me to introduce to you our guests. So our first guest is the entrepreneurship manager of the PhilDev Foundation. We have Mr. Kevin Martin de la Cruz. Hi, Kevin. How are you?
Hello Rin. Hello, magandang hapon sa inyong lahat. So, yun, no? Okay naman. So, dito pa rin sa, ano pa rin, no? Sa bahay pa rin. Pero very, very excited to share, no? Mga kwento at mga insights mamaya sa ating show. Yan.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Kevin. Now, our next guest for tonight is not a stranger to Tayo Talks. Not even a stranger, maybe to our viewers, but our guest is an Tayo 18 alumnus. He is the Chief Executive Officer of the EstrawngHeroes from Iloilo. We have Adrian Camposagrado. Hi, Adrian. Kumusta?
Hi Ryan, maayong gabi, med nga gabi kanyong tanan. Ayun, okay lang naman. So far, medyo okay na din yung situation here in Iloilo.
Alright. Hi. Kumusta ang Iloilo ngayon, Adrian?
So far, ayun nga, medyo bumabalik na din yung sistema dito sa Iloilo. Pero yun lang, there are times talaga, there are days na magugulat ka na marami na palang ulit cases, and then mabilis lang naman na nag-i-improve din, naagapan agad.
Thank you. Sige, thank you for that update, Adrian. And lastly, so we don't have two speakers, we have three speakers for tonight, and we have the head of program development with us this evening of the Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation Incorporated. Friends, help me welcome Mr. Wilhelm Wade Yosores. Hi, Wade. Kumusta? How is your evening so far?
Hi, Ryan. Good evening sa lahat po ng nanonood today. And also, shout out to the people in Tacloban, maupay nga gabi. Everything is fine naman. Same with Kevin. We're still with our work from home setup, but we do what we do. Excited for our conversations this evening.
All right. So, before we proceed, Wade, I have a question. So, this has been siguro a conversation na palaging that make rounds that whenever we talk about Cebuana Lhuillier or M. Lhuillier. So, how do you really say it? Do you say it as Lhuillier or do you say it as Lhuillier?
How we use it at the office is Lhuillier. So, there's no naman. Kasi sa ibang areas, of course, probably abroad, it's Lhuillier, but how it's used in the company is really Cebuana Lhuillier.
All right, so that you heard it first. Wow, from Wade. Tonight with Tayo Talks, it's Lhuillier, not Lhuillier. Now, tonight, this is our first time, no, having PhilDev Foundation and the Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation Incorporated, and of course, hindi first time ni EstrawngHeroes, but we just want to give our viewers a grounding siguro, or like a quick getting to know you. So can you please introduce yourselves and your organization? Share to us what you do or why you still do what you do. Can we start with Adrian? Konting update lang din naman, Adrian, since you're no stranger to Tayo Talks. Alright, so medyo naghang pa po. May technical difficulty si Adrian. So can we move to si Kevin na lang muna. Kevin.
Ayan. So, my name's Kevin. I'm the Entrepreneurship Manager of PhilDev Foundation. So the goal of the foundation is to so what we do is our goal is to help alleviate poverty in the Philippines by using technology, entrepreneurship, and innovation. So yung aking role as bilang facilitator and manager of these initiatives is to siguro develop activities that will make sure that yung ating livelihoods, we're talking about entrepreneurship initiatives, will be able to reach the unreached. Yan. So kumbaga meron tayong tinatawag na inclusive innovation na how do we make sure that these enterprise opportunities will reach different communities. Hindi lang siguro yung mapaabot, kundi ma-enhance din yung capacity nila para yun nga, masustain yung kanilang ventures. And for me, why do I do what I do? So 10 years na po, kabataan pa rin naman, 10 years in this work of advocating for social entrepreneurship, for entrepreneurship. Mahalaga sa akin yung ano ba ang pag-unlad na nananatili yan at nagpapatuloy. Yun. Kasi madalas na meron tayong mga inisyatiba na nangyayari lang ng 1 buwan o 2 buwan, pero ano ba yung nananatili at magpapatuloy? So yun. So yun yung question at patuloy kong sinasagot hanggat ngayon. So yun lang.
All right, thank you for sharing to us what PhilDev does, Kevin. So diba, it's nice to know that there's an organization like PhilDev dedicating itself to alleviating poverty, directly addressing poverty here in the Philippines. Now, can we hop back to Adrian? Adrian, can you share to us, especially to our guests tonight, what the EstrawngHeroes is?
So, EstrawngHeroes, we had this COVID-19 response project. It was an initial COVID response project. It started last August, or July rather, of 2020. It was Manong. We call it Manong. It's an empowerment. It aimed to empower young tricycle drivers by providing them an additional income during the pandemic. It's one of its components was what we call pagbulig kay Manong, which was the financial literacy aspect of the program. We had tricycle drivers undergo a seminar on financial literacy, and then we gave them this bamboo coin banks na nilalagyan nila ng kakaunting pera every time they have this transaction sa Manong program. It was an errand service na program. So yung mga tricycle drivers, they were able to help din sa paglesen ng mga taong lumalabas by providing services na imbes na yung mga taong nasa bahay pa yung lumabas, sila na lang yung gumagawa ng errand sa kanila para sa mga taong nasa bayan. So in every transaction that they make for that program, nilalagyan nila ng kakaunting pera, kahit coins like 5 pesos, 10 pesos doon sa coin banks. And then kami yung may hawak ng mga padlock na keys, na mga susi para sa padlocks ng bamboo coin banks. And then ayun, every time they have this thing that they needed to buy or to spend on, they ask permission from us na from their savings dun sa bamboo coin banks na dinadala nila every time they have these transactions.
All right. Thank you for that,
Wow.
Adrian. So, diba? Wow. So every time I hear the EstrawngHeroes talk about Manong, that's their project, parang napapaisip ako na parang sana all may EstrawngHeroes sa Pilipinas, di ba? Sige, thank you for that, Adrian. Wade, can you share to us what you do at CLFI?
Ayan. So first and foremost, so CLFI, Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation, is the corporate social responsibility arm of Cebuana Lhuillier, which is the leading microfinance service organization here in the Philippines. CLFI, we handle programs that are on education, disaster resilience, financial literacy, and values formation and outreach. Now, as head of program development, I handle really strategy, and development of the current programs and future programs that we have. Essentially, beyond basic services and beyond plain charity, we've always wanted to ask. I mean, we're at the point of transitioning, where we're asking, how can we add more value? How can we bring in more sustainable intervention? So, with that, we try to, really look at what we're currently doing and then try to see kung ano pa yung mga pwede naming gawin, not only in the fields where we are in, but also in other cross-cutting fields, no? And right now, on an operational standpoint naman, no, I handle resource mobilization, our strategic partnerships or communications. Why do I do what I do? Essentially, I've always been an advocate of youth empowerment, no, and social development. Lagi-lagi naman ginagawa natin yung ginagawa natin because we wanted to serve communities and we've always wanted to serve our country. So yun, para sa bayan, hashtag nga na.
Totoo. Ginagamit ko din yan. Like, para sa bayan. Lagit-lagi para sa bayan naman yung pinagsisikapan natin, no? So thank you for that, Wade. Now, as early as now, I'd like to drop in na if you have questions for our guests, do drop them below and we will make sure to pin them up so that our guests tonight can share their thoughts on your question. Now, to proceed, I'd like to get to know why did you advocate for financial literacy in the first place? Like, you could have ventured into other advocacies like for the environment, for women, and others, but you chose financial literacy. So why do you think that this is pressing enough to that PhilDev, that CLFI, and the EstrawngHeroes can advocate for? Anybody can start. May gusto mong magsimula?
Sige, ako na siguro, umpisahan ko na siguro.
Sige,
para
go,
po.
Adrian.
Oo, kasi trabaho po nila yon, no? Sa amin, kasi po si EstrawngHero, we were originally an environmental organization here in the province of Iloilo. We really advocate for environmental protection here, environmental governance here in the province. Like, before the pandemic, we teach young people to write ordinances and resolutions para sa kalikasan. But because of the pandemic, yung kwento po kasi, we conducted a quick response, ano tawag natin dito, donation drive, no, for tricycle drivers early 2020, mga April 2020, nagkaroon kami ng donation drive for tricycle drivers. And then, nung nakausap na namin yung mga tricycle drivers na wala na daw silang, kasi may time na sa kasagsagan talaga ng COVID, na suspend yung operations ng mga public utility vehicles, no, ng mga tricycles, ng mga jeep, lahat na suspend sila. So when we conducted that donation drive, na open up sa amin ng isang tricycle driver na wala naman silang other choices na of sources of income during the pandemic. Yun nga, kasi marami sa kanila ang hindi nakapag-aral ng elementary, hindi nakapag-aral ng high school, kaya mahihirapan talaga sila sa paghanap ng alternative source of income during the pandemic kasi wala silang ibang alam na pwedeng pagkuhanan ng pera. So, nung may nakita kaming call for project proposals, doon namin naisip na why not create a program for tricycle drivers na imbes na dahil nga hindi sila dahil na revise na yung sistema nila sa pagbabiyahe nila ng tricycles, sabi namin gawa namin ng paraan ng additional source of income. Ano yung mga pwede nilang gawin? So actually si financial literacy, parang at first, as what I have mentioned earlier, parang maliit na part lang siya ng manong program namin noon, na parang sige, because bibigyan namin sila ng additional income, siguro maganda na turuan din namin sila kung paano magagamit yung mga perang makukuha nila from the errand service na naibibigay namin sa kanila. But then again, along the way, parang we realized na it had the most impact dun sa buhay ng mga tricycle drivers namin. Aside from giving them an opportunity na makatulong dun sa pag-lessen ng taong pumupunta sa public market, dun sa mga taong lumalabas ng kanilang bahay, mas nagkaroon ng impact sa kanila yung mayroon silang bamboo coin bank na nilalagyan ng pera to save for their family, for the education of their children, for their health needs. yun yung nag-spark ng ano sa amin na we need to focus talaga sa ganitong aspect ng program kasi ito pala yung kailangan ng mga tricycle drivers. Aside sa kailangan nila ng mapagkukuhanan ng pera, kailangan din nila ng kaalaman kung paano nila i-control o i-manage ng mabuti yung kanilang mga pera. Yun lang, kahit na maliit lang, kahit na kukunti lang yung masisave nila, at least nalalaman nila kung paano nila gagastusin yung pera na sisave nila. Like one time, for example, during din sa kasagsagan ng pandemic, like mga 2 months or 3 months after ng implementation ng program, yung mga tricycle drivers namin nag-a-ask na ng permission kasi daw medyo sumasama yung pakiramdam ng mga anak nila. So baka pwede po humiram ng pera dun sa bamboo coin banks nila mismo. Yun na yung mga ginamit nila pambili ng mga gamot ng kanilang mga anak, yung mga ganun. So medyo parang eye-opener din siya sa amin kasi yung tanong din was, how would you encourage someone to save even if na napakahirap para sa kanila ang mag-save? So, paano mo tuturuan yung taong mag-save na parang para sa kanila, wala silang perang isi-save? So, yung sa amin, syempre, kinausap din namin sila na paano natin gagawin ito? Para sa inyo, ano yung mga sistemang pwede natin gawin para may maitabi kayo, para may ma-save kayong pera. So yun, yung idea na pagkakaroon ng coin bank, yung idea na kami yung hahawak dun sa mga susi ng padlocks ng kanilang mga coin banks, ay nanggaling din naman sa mga diskusyon na naganap between our organization and with them na dahil pag uwi nila ng bahay, wala silang lalagyan ng perang pang-save. So ayun, nagkaroon ng, sige, bigyan namin kayo ng coin banks. And then possible challenges that you will encounter when you are managing your finance. Sabi nila, baka mawalan daw sila ng discipline pa at first, no? Kaya kami yung between our conversations, we decided na we will be the ones to hold muna for the first months ng program. Kami yung hawak ng susi kasi para makontrol muna nila, hindi muna sila masanay na pwede lang silang kumuha doon every time that they want to get something from it. So ayun lang, that's our inspiration from our end kasi at first we really did not dealt with financial literacy naman at first. We just wanted to provide them additional income. Pero because of the everything that had happened during the pandemic, we realized that it is a need and we must provide them opportunities to do it.
Right? So grabe yung growth, no? Akala mo lang from a small envy organization and you think that it would bloom into a bigger envy organization, but now we have an envy organization who advocates for financial literacy. Grabe yung inter-advocacy growth ng the EstrawngHeroes. Nakakahanga, Adrian. Maraming salamat. At this point, can we also hear from our other guests, our new guests for tonight? Anyone from Kevin or Wade?
Ayan. So,
Yeah, okay.
for PhilDev Foundation, no? Ayan. Okay, so for PhilDev, no, actually, financial literacy is not really parang not the foundation of our efforts, no. In fact, no, when I look back, no, at the mission of PhilDev, it's really focusing on enabling success. Yan. So kung paano natin, how do we give spaces, no, for let's say students to develop their innovations? How are we able to enable entrepreneurs to further expand their enterprises, di ba? So ganun talaga, all the efforts of PhilDev are really focused on accelerating innovations and further developing the entrepreneurs and the initiatives around the country. And one of the realizations that I have, no, lalo na ngayong pandemya, kasi bakit kailangan nating, how do we enable success, no? Parang when you go back to this pandemic, no, tatlong bagay eh. Una, importante ang access na pag sinabi nating maabot ng tao yung let's say health, we're talking about health services, we're talking about opportunities for personal growth. Kumbaga nagiging constraint ngayon sa mga tao karamihan is okay, lahat tayo siguro through the internet, no, we can get access to education, access to all of these opportunities. Pero what about the people na walang access sa internet? So mahalaga talaga access. And even awareness is also important, no? So that's one. So number two is resources. Na right now, ang concern is, okay, may access ka nga, pero do you have the resources to really start, let's say, your bank accounts, or let's say, to start your enterprise? Hindi ka makakapagsimula ng enterprise, maliban sa kaalaman, kailangan mo rin ng seed, no? Seed funding para masimulan mo yung livelihood mo, masimulan mo yung initiative na gusto mong simulan. Then ikatlo naman yung skills na okay, meron nga akong alam, access to these services, I have resource, pero do I have the skills to really execute it? And in the heart of PhilDev, no, na yes, we might be doing all these trainings, no, to universities, to students, and even starting this innovation challenge, no, with Cebuana. Yan. So, kumaga we are opening this, pero yun nga at the heart of every initiative, no, are we ready as individuals? Are our communities ready to handle these initiatives that will uplift their lives, lalo na in the lens of business? Yun. Kaya napakahalaga rin talagang financial literacy kasi nga, ano yan in the end of the day kasi, if we want to sustain an enterprise or any initiative, kahit mga kabataan, no, mahalaga talaga yung proper management of finances. Not just management, but even the accountability na yun nga, ano yan kapag na-manage natin at naging accountable tayo sa funds natin, mas madali nating mapapalawig ang serbisyo na yon sa ibang tao. Kumaga, we want to employ more people, we want to reach out to more sectors, di ba? So, kailangan talaga part ng operations yan, yung financial literacy. So, yun. So, kaya ngayon, no, kaya masasabi ko na PhilDev might not be directly working on financial literacy, but as part of enabling success through enterprise development, mahalaga ang financial literacy bilang panimula sa development ng isang tao. So yun. So yun lang naman.
Really good input, no? How do we enable success? What a very moving question. Like, it's a question that will keep you up at night thinking, what should I do tomorrow to, number one, achieve my own success. Number two, be an enabler of success for others. And I think it best fits with how Kevin shared to us na it's giving access to opportunities, tapos providing resource, and cultivating the skills, no? Thank you so much for that, Kevin. Nga pala, Kevin, you're wearing a Never Too Young to Lead shirt. So I'm guessing you're a YCL alum. What can you share? Quick lang, what's your program?
Ayan, so Professional Fellows Economic Empowerment 2017 po. Yon. So alumni ng YCL.
PFP alum. Now, na-notice ko lang din kasi a very quick teaser lang. We're doing work related to YCL and other program, US Embassy program. So, to everyone watching, keep your eyes posted on that opportunity. Wade, kumusta po tayo? Okay lang ba? Medyo natagalan po yung pagpunta namin sa'yo. What about you?
No worries. So, on the end of, on our end naman, no, as Cebuana, of course, Cebuana Lhuillier as a financial institution, financial literacy is at its core. Of course, when you look at the company first, no, its vision is to empower Filipinos through financial services anytime and anywhere. So it's important as we empower Filipinos for financial services that we educate them about these services. As we provide access to them to financial services, we educate them on how to utilize this access, no? Because it's not enough that we just give them the means in terms of finance, no? It's very much important na alam nila kung anong gagawin nila nito, saan, kailan, di ba? On the part naman of Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation, one of our core areas of core programs would be, our areas of intervention would be on education. And if you look at it, we've been handling programs such as scholarships and support to alternative learning system. But financial literacy is important in the context of education nga, because this is where we empower young people. We empower students on how to learn the basic concepts of financial literacy. How we see it, no, is how do we integrate financial literacy in education? Our first intervention is through our support, educational support, through our scholarships. When they're able to be at school, they learn. Now, while they're learning, we want them to also be financially literate, so that when they graduate, once they start entering into jobs, or once they start starting their own businesses, they would have a very good background already, a very good concept and understanding of what financial literacy is. And alam nyo, when we talk about financial literacy, no, so we have to understand that nowadays a lot of people, and that's backed up by stats now from BSP, na a lot of people today, I think around 29%, only 29% own bank accounts. And a lot of people still do not have a firm grasp of different financial concepts, such as having savings account, having insurance, having investments, and whatnot. So it's really important that people are aware of these services and then the access that they can have. Kasi financial literacy is the very first step towards financial inclusion. So it allows your citizens to become empowered, and it allows your citizens to have control over their finances. Especially nowadays, now with the ongoing pandemic, now more than ever we understand the value of being able to save for the rainy days, no. So and savings is just the start of it, no. Financial literacy is essentially, no, how we're able to empower people to have informed judgments, to have effective decisions regarding their use and management of money. So dito sa Pilipinas, napaka-importante ng financial literacy kasi nga mababa pa yung levels ng literacy with huge sections of the Philippine population. And it's very much apparent in rural areas and marginalized communities where a lot of people still are not aware of formal financial setup. No? And more likely than not, sila din yung mga nagiging biktima ng different, scams, different schemes. So that's where we're coming in, no? And Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation, we're really providing that type of education and access, and at the same time the financial services, especially to marginalized communities here in the Philippines.
Thank you for that very comprehensive answer, Wade. Yes, Adrian.
Ayun, gusto ko lang din magdagdag ng story doon sa sinabi din ni Kuya Kevin at saka Kuya Wade na the first thing naman talaga when it comes to financial literacy is that you have the resources, and then that you can be financially literate, and that the connection of it to education. Kasi the Manong program as well also had this included din siya sa program namin na maibalik sila sa pag-aaral, yung mga tricycle drivers namin, kasi our data sa pag-start ng Manong program is walang may nakapagtapos ng elementary o ng high school. So when we started, sa initial conversations, nag-try na po kami mag-invite sa kanila, sa mga tricycle drivers o sa mga manongs, na mag-enroll sila sa alternative learning system ng DepEd. And then, there was one tricycle driver na nagsabi na hesitant siya mag-enroll sa ALS kasi baka maging distraction ito sa kanyang pagbabiyahe ng sikad, sa kanyang trabaho bilang tricycle driver. But then, so ayun, akala namin no chances na of enrolling that person or si Manong Ezekiel sa ALS ng DepEd. But then, after 2 to 3 months of the Manong program, August we started, mga November, December, we tried to talk about ALS again to them. No? Nag-offer ulit kami, sure ba? Ayaw mo ba talaga mag-ALS? And then, dahil nga dun, nakapag-save na siya, nakakapag-try na siya mag-save up to 400 to 500 pesos sa kanyang coin bank, nag-decide na siya, sabi niya, sige, try ko na. Why not enroll myself na to ALS? Kasi yun lang, parang napaisip lang kami na at first kasi, nung hindi pa nagsistart yung program, ayaw pa niya mag-enroll kasi hesitant siya kasi madi-disrupt yung kanyang operation ng kanyang tricycad. But then later on, habang tinatry na nila mag-practice doon sa bamboo coin banks, and then habang nagtutuloy-tuloy na yung kanilang sources of income kahit na pandemic, nagkaroon siya ng interest na mag-enroll o bumalik na sa pag-aaral. I think that's where we can relate dun sa mga sinabi ni Kuya Kevin at Kuya Wade na if we provide an income source for example for a person para mas maging interested siya to manage his finances, mas nabibigyan siya ng pagkakataon na mag-isip din ng iba pang opportunities for himself na hindi lang problema yung iisipin niya araw-araw, pero kasi nakapagbigay tayo ng hope sa mga tricycle drivers na pwede pala may mga additional income source pala kami pwedeng pagkuhanan, and dahil meron na kaming extra income, baka pwede na naman kami mag-isip for ourselves na by this time na bumalik sila sa pag-aaral. Ayun.
Alright. Thank you, Adrian. Ang husay, no? Ang husay tonight, as your host, nakikita ko yung connection between the work that CLFI does, PhilDev Foundation does, and the EstrawngHeroes does. And I think it's very important na we need companies or organizations like CLFI and PhilDev Foundation that supports smaller organizations or microscale organizations that are really on the ground and helping these communities. And we give a huge salute to organizations like the EstrawngHeroes who really are in the ground and talking to the people who really need these conversations the most. No? So, congratulations everyone for that. Tapos na po yung session. Joke lang. Not yet done. Question pa.
Walang extra.
Kinabahan kayo. So, but thank you. And speaking of these opportunities and what you do, I understand that this week you see CLFI and the PhilDev Foundation started your program already, your Financial Literacy Innovation Challenge. Can you share to us anyone between Wade and Kevin about this program?
Siguro I'll let Kevin share the more nitty-gritty on the innovation aspect, no. But I think on the part of CLFI, we're really happy because when we were conceptualizing the program, of course, we know naman no na napaka-bibot, napaka-active ng kabataang Pinoy ngayon, no, and then a lot would really be engaged. But konti lang, hindi naman namin in-expect na medyo overwhelming yung number of applicants. So to date, we have around 56, 57 applicants. Personally, I was thinking we had baka mga around 20 lang, no? But 56 is a lot of entries, and doon din sa mga sessions that we've been having, we've been getting a good number of turnout doon sa mga sessions, like around 50 to 80. And what the insight that I have with that is that it's really inspiring to see that the young people of today are very much inspired and engaged to really look for solutions, to really look for innovations for our marginalized sectors. Kasi yun ang isa sa mga emphasis namin sa challenge when we wanted it, when we were setting it up, no. It's really for us to be able to provide these solutions to people, communities that are in need, those who are underserved, those who are underprivileged. And nakikita din natin dun sa demographics, no, a lot of our participants are coming from outside of Luzon, which is another goal that we had when we started it. Kasi we don't want them, yes, of course, we want everyone. We encouraged everyone to join, but we didn't want the challenge to be just Manila-centric or NCR-centric for that matter. Gusto natin na umabot tayo Visayas, Mindanao, because we see a lot of marginalized communities really in those areas. And we're happy that a lot of the entries are coming from Vismin because we see that some people really want to address kung naman yung need na nasa area nila.
Ayun. Thank you so much for that input, Wade. Pero like ang ganda ng framework ng program because yun nga siguro because you are catching more onto enabling people to be the champions of communities here in the Philippines. Now, kumusta? I'd like to further the question by asking, kumusta yung first week nyo? Like, how are the participants so far? I know marami sila. So, can you talk more about how the first week went?
Ayan. Okay. So for the first week, actually, the challenge is inspired by the human-centered design principle na shinare ng IDO. And actually, the and and yun nga yung innovation challenge, it is meant not just to become a competition but also a learning journey. And I agree with Wade na ang dami talagang sumaling mga kabataan, and really we are very happy na even at this time of pandemic, na meron pa ring energy and hope na ibabahagi ang mga kabataan ngayon, na even though na alam nilang na internet-based ang competition, pero alam nila na may maitutulong sila at marami silang maitutulong at marami silang matututunan along the way. So, yung first week, we called actually 3-week challenge siya, no? So, we called the first week Empathy Week. Na parang talagang design thinking, no? Empathy, ideation, and prototyping. So, for the Empathy Week, we are able to deep dive with, of course, with the help of Cebuana Lhuillier. Yan, nagkaroon ng discussion on Financial Literacy 101. So, we were able to open the opportunities for the innovators, okay, na ma-refresh sila sa kung ano ba ang basic concepts of financial literacy. At the same time, we were able to unpack the different perspectives of community development, na kung saan, nga pala, I mean, marami ring mga inisyatiba na nasa paligid. So we invited, of course, Mark Ruiz of Hapinoy, Noreen from Panublix, and then of course si Mona from Quezon City Local Government to share their practices, kung paano nila ginawang contextualized ang kanilang innovations. Yon. And then of course, this week we also deep dived into the main problem that the participants would be focusing in. So, ang kakaiba siguro sa innovation challenge is we, more than being a competition, we are making it as a journey worth taking for the participants. Na by the end of the 3 weeks, they're able to network, they're able to implement the solution. Kahit na hindi man sila manalo, pero maging seed ito ng mamumunga na inisyatiba nila in the long run. And hopefully, maging tayo nominee rin sila. Yon.
Hopefully, hopefully, tayo nominees, di ba? We hope to welcome your challengers with us, especially with our approaching Tayo 19. Now, Adrian, gusto ko lang balikan yung story sa coin banking. Like, is it really gusto ko lang balikan kasi naisip ko, like, while Wade and Kevin were talking about their program, I was thinking na parang, so for people na parang who are really on the ground, is it really effective? Like, kapag nung iniwan nyo na sa kanila yung coin banks, did it really work?
Ayun nga, kasi yung one of the main problems talaga, kung naano ka talaga, mahirap kumita during the pandemic. So, kung isa ka siguro sa mga taong kumikita dahil may mga pang-araw-araw na pangangailangan, mahirapan ka talagang i-manage yung iyong finances. Kasi ayun nga, pag-uwi mo, different set na naman ng pangangailangan na kailangan mong bilhin for tomorrow. May mga listahan ka na wala ka pang naiipon, may listahan ka na ng mga kailangan mong bilhin o ng mga kailangan mong gastusan para sa pang-araw-araw ninyo sa bahay. Siguro yan yung mga pinaka-challenge. Kaya naging effective na pamaraan upang maituro doon sa mga tricycle drivers ng financial literacy dahil ito yung pinaka-close o pinaka-specific na pwede nilang gawin. Yun nga, nasabi din kanina ata ni Kuya Wade na hindi naman lahat makakapag-open ng bank accounts. Walang enough na resources to open bank accounts. So yung Bamboo Coin Bank, yung nagsilbing bangko nila na hawak-hawak naman nila kaso hindi lang nila mabuksan-buksan anytime during the first days, during the first months of the implementation. Siguro doon nila na-realize na kapag meron silang naitatago meron silang magagamit in times of emergencies na hindi part ng kanilang everyday listahan o everyday gastos. Yun siguro yung siguro yun yung tumatak sa kanila kung bakit naging effective na program si Manong para sa mga tricycle drivers. Kasi yun yung nagsilbing bangko nila, yun yung nagsilbing investment mechanism. Kasi ayun, hindi naman lahat sila na nagkaroon ng chance na kausap sa isang financial tawag natin sa kanila, advisor, di ba? So yun, kami parang yung mga junior, yung mga hindi naman expert, pero at least yun lang alam namin na sa savings. Pero yung training naman nila before kami nag-start ng Manong program, isang finance officer naman yung nag-train sa kanila ng financial literacy. Ayun, siguro dun din sa mga kasama sa mga nanonood sa atin. Kasi we have to realize, kasi one of the parang main challenges for financial literacy advocates is how will you teach someone to manage their finances if they do not have finances at all? Di ba? Meron kasi may mga ganong arguments eh. So, yun nga, kanina may nabasa akong quote lang din, post lang din sa Facebook na you can actually give a man a fish while also teaching them how to fish. No, na hindi lang tayo kailangan magturo sa kanila kung paano mag-fish, pero posible din naman na bigyan natin sila ng fish and at the same time teach them how to fish para maging sustainable na din yung practice natin ng financial literacy. Pero one thing to do that is of course talk to that sector. Hindi pwedeng mag-assume na lang tayo na ito yung kailangan natin gawin kasi ito yung kailangan nila. Pero yun nga, yung mga ginagawa din ng mga financial advisors natin, tinatanong muna tayo kung ano yung mga kaya natin, ano yung available funds natin na kailangan nating i-manage. Then yun yung gawin natin in a lower scale dun sa ating mga sa ibang sektor na ganun yung challenge, na wala silang enough na resources. But how do we teach them to manage their resources?
Right.
Thank
You.
I
think I just want to add something to that now. For our innovation challenge participants, one question that has been raised is, kailangan ba sa innovation challenge parang tech solution kaagad? Well, of course, it's especially with the age of digital and age of technology right now, napakalaking advantage for us to really, harness or leverage on technology. But it's also important that when we assess our communities, we see if applicable ba sa kanila, or is it something that's easy for them to adapt to. So in the case, I think with Adrian, they solved the financial literacy issue with a non-tech design, non-tech project. And this is something na pwedeng makita ng ating mga applicants na they can go either tech or non-tech, but as long as the important thing is na-address ba niya yung pain point or yung issue towards access, towards education ng target community nila. And also with what Adrian is doing, maybe there's a potential collaboration. Kasi I think after, I'm not sure how you do it, but kasi kapag napuno na nila yung yung mga bangko nila, yung mga parang piggy banks ng mga beneficiaries ninyo, baka it's also time to introduce them to microsaving. I'm not plugging anything, but of course, di ba, a microsavings account will essentially bring them towards financial access. They will have their imprint or identity in the financial services arena. So doon pumapasok kasi yung organizations such as Cebuana. We're not there to cater to people with money, na malalaking money. Ang target talaga namin is people in underserved and underprivileged segments. So it's one area of collaboration maybe in the future, so that kapag nagbukas sila micro savings account, we can also introduce them to other financial services that they can avail.
Ayun.
Yeah.
So, nakikita nyo guys and girls and our friends of the LGBT community na partnerships can be forged or initiated via Tayo Talks. So you can never you can never tell,
Looking
no?
forward to that.
So
Mag-expect kami.
hopefully we see that partnership. Ano, Adrian, sabi mo?
Mag-expect. We're looking forward to that.
Yeah, yun.
Yes.
Looking forward na daw to wait. Anyway, I think just to pick up from what Wade said, na I'd like to add in lang na I think the operational word is innovation. Na parang solving a problem doesn't necessarily, even if it's in a hackathon type, it doesn't necessarily mean it has to be tech. So that goes out to all of the challengers for the Financial Literacy Innovation Challenge. Now, so tonight has been a really good opportunity to learn financial literacy, and I've learned so much. But to peek into the future, I'd like to ask this question: na parang, how does the future look like if the people, for example, here in the Philippines, are financially literate? Can we get from Kevin?
Ayan, okay. Well, ito, no, just to share from the perspective of, go back to why PhilDev was established, no. PhilDev was established by Dado Banatao. So, just Dado Banatao was an ordinary youth living in, actually, Cagayan area. So, nandun lang siya. Actually, he was born in poverty. Talagang wala silang resources before, and yung opportunities less. And yung naging kwento niya, no, he was able to get scholarships, yun nga dahil matalino nga siyang bata dati, no. So nakakuha siya ng opportunity na mag-study sa, of course, public school, then eventually sa Mapua, then eventually sa Stanford, no. And na-realize niya na the reason why he got into these opportunities because of yun nga the universities that are nakita siya, no, na-recognize yung kanyang brilliance in engineering, and even in Stanford, same, no? So, inisip niya na through PhilDev, hopefully, that will extend to more young people, di ba? So in a way, no, when you talk about the future of financial literacy, no, in the future, no, kung financially literate ang mga Pinoy, actually, opportunities na yun nga katulad ng sinabi ni Wade, no, I mean yung micro savings, 'di ba? And we're talking about, of course, no, sabi ni Adrian na bigyan mo lang sila, pagkatiwalaan mo lang sila, no, na kakayanin nilang mag-impok, 'di ba? So when you actually start recognizing people's capacities and recognizing their brilliance, yun, lalo na dagdagan mo pa ng skills ng financial literacy, no? Okay? Makikita natin na, wow, there's so many opportunities that will come to people. Na imagine, no? Siguro ito personal burden ko to kasi I work with community-based entrepreneurs. Kahit na before PhilDev, no, talagang yun yung ginagawa ko. I train community-based entrepreneurs. Na-realize ko na bigyan mo lang itong mga mga women's organizations, youth organizations ng kaalaman at access to services, no? Magkaroon ng bank account, magkaroon sila ng registration, ng negosyo. They have so much that they have the potential to really uplift their communities and eventually spur their local economy. Na kung dati-rate, simple lang yung gotohan ng isang nanay. Pag natuto siyang mag-impok, meron siyang bank account, may insurance siya, eventually she can grow the business. And she can grow the business while securing their lives, no, as a family. So yun, so we envision that future na there is indeed inclusive development na hindi lang naka-center sa cities natin, but in all provinces, everyone will say na, wow, ang gaan-gaan ng buhay. So yun, may kaginhawaan sa buhay. So yun lang.
Yes. It's not a one-way trip lang. Diba? Sige, thank you for that, Kevin. Wade, Adrian, do you want to add up to that?
I think no. When we talk about on an ideal perspective, hypothetically, like how does the future look like if people are financially literate? Well, first thing before a disclaimer, while we're talking about financial literacy, and also since na-share din ni Adrian, we're not invalidating the struggles of people. No? Financial literacy doesn't solve how people, it doesn't solve the issues of people when it comes to living right now. Di ba? Na parang hindi siya automatically yayaman ng isang tao. Hindi natin matutugunan kaagad ang mga needs ng mga communities natin. But I think what's important for us to understand is that right now, kapag ang isang community or isang grupo ay financially literate, mas nabibigyan natin ng tsansa na makaangat-angat yung mga underserved at underprivileged communities natin. I want to focus there, no? Kasi more or less, no, ang karaniwang si Juan de la Cruz na nandito at nagtatrabaho, malamang yung mga nakikinig natin that are able to still work, that are able to earn something every day. Yes, this is also an issue, but it's more of an issue really for underprivileged communities. Now, a future with financial literacy means na sila lahat ay meron na silang access to financial services, no? So, maganda yung sinisimulan na programa ni Adrian na tinuturuan sila paano mag-ipon. And just as I've said kanina, a financially literate community would go to the next level, no, of putting their ipon in a financial instrument for them to be able to first, say for example, get interest. Another thing is, marirealize nila na, meron pala tayong insurance. So we can spend our ipon, put it in insurance. Another is we can look at micro investments, or we can actually start looking at, say for example, micro loans where they have seed money. They can complement their money to start their own negosyo. Another aspect of a future with financial literacy, it would mean na wala na, or sana wala nang mabibiktima ng mga 5-6, wala nang mabibiktima sa mga get rich instantly or mga schemes na are there to deceive like deceive people, no? Kasi more often than not ngayon, ang mga tao kapag they lack this specific knowledge on finances, mas mabilis sila mabiktima. And it's really sad because we see a lot of people complain. Sabi natin online, mga nagpo-post na scam sila kasi sabi, gawin natin yung 10 pesos mo into 10,000. Yung mga ganun. Yung mga nakikipag-usap with, natatanong kung open-minded pa ba. So, maraming nabibiktima. No? So, kapag financially literate ang ating mga tao, mas may they can make sound financial decisions. And also, we're not just talking about for those who are having problems with money, for people then who instantly get money, no? So sabihin natin isang tao na nanalo sa isang raffle or isang tao na nanalo sa isang contest. Nakikita din natin to sa mga tao na nananalo sa sweepstakes, no, sa lotto. One day wala silang pera, kinabukasan may 100, 200, and how ilang million pa niyan. Ang nangyayari, one day millionaire. So they spend everything that they have in just one go. So we're trying to help people to avoid those kind of scenarios. And hopefully, no, with the interventions that we've been doing in our respective organizations, with Adrian and Kevin, no, and sana we can get closer to that ideal state, no. And I think naman we won't stop doing that as long as our organizations are standing. Our mandate would be to continue providing this kind of education.
Thank you for that, Wade. Before we end, may pahabol from Skyler Fuentes na question from Facebook. Sabi niya, so far, we hear about the demographic on financial literacy involves the youth and our middle-aged people. What efforts are we doing to include older or senior generations? Anybody?
Siguro sa amin parang indirect na siguro na influence to senior citizens, because of course some of our tricycle drivers have also grandparents with them at home, o kapitbahay nila yung mga kanilang mga lola at lolo, o yung mga parents nila na senior citizens na. Siguro one way siguro is that na-influence din sila in a way that dahil napapag-usapan namin with the tricycle drivers and then we conduct house-to-house consultations with them, na-include din namin sila sa discussion, in our conversations, that we can be able to talk about why is it important to save or why is it important to value these bamboo coin banks that we have distributed. Siguro it's on our part, we're trying to include them in the conversation as much as possible. Even if, of course, kami kasi, we're a youth organization. So, and then the program also was for our young tricycle drivers. But there was an indirect impact or opportunity for us to also educate senior citizens or the elders to also talk about financial literacy. Ayun, so
Ayan.
nagkaroon
Thank you.
ng from the family level.
Yes, yes. So, para siyang butterfly effect, kumbaga.
Oo.
Yes. Thank you, Adrian. Wade, Kevin, do you want to add anything to that?
Okay.
Okay, ayan. So on our on our end so for PhilDev we are currently supporting social enterprises that actually reach din sa masasabi nating older and senior generations. So number one siguro example yung Filipina home-based moms. Yung Filipina home-based moms, they provide so normally kasi 'di ba nasa tahanan ng ating mga nanay, kahit siguro mga lola natin, no? And nakakatuwa kasi even though they primarily cater to mothers na nagbibigay sila ng training on virtual assistance, on primarily employment, no? Pero marami ding actually demographics meron ding konting demographics sa Filipino home-based moms na they cater to the seniors na nabibigyan sila ng opportunity to learn financial literacy, ano yung value ng work, 'di ba? Kahit na nasa bahay lang sila, no? Literal nga na nagiging lola techie sila. Meron silang natututunan at meron din silang patuloy na ginagawa, no? For their families. And yun nga, gusto ko lang ding i-add to, no, na yun nga, isang maligayang araw ng paggawa at kumaga happy Labor Day sa lahat. Yun, kumaga sa lahat ng mga manggagawa sa mga nanonood ngayon, no. So, yun. So napakahalaga talaga yung role ng social enterprises. Then another one, siguro last, yung isa ay meron ding yung Coffee for Peace, no. Yung Coffee for Peace, meron din tayong mga farmers, no, na alam natin yung average age ng farmers in the Philippines 56, matanda na or even more. So, nabibigyan sila ng training sa hindi lang sa pagsasaka, no, ng mas maayos ng kape. Okay, nabibigyan din sila ng opportunities to learn how to function as a cooperative. Kasi ang cooperative, hindi ko na ile-lecture, no, pero ang cooperative, isa sa mahalaga na principle doon is yun nga, yung pagdedesisyon ng magkakasama. Yun. And for them to decide on it together, yung finances na meron sila, kailangan ng financial literacy orientation. So yun. So Coffee for Peace, no, yung isa sa mga sinusupport namin na SEs ang gumagawa nun. And yun. So yun, on our end.
Ayun. Thank you for that, Kevin. And to formally end our program and session tonight, I would like to give you the opportunity to share with us anything that you want to tell our Filipino youth and our Filipino members, to our fellow Filipinos in general. Any shout outs, any mga pagbate, wow, naging DJ, and or any opportunities that's coming that you'd like to share with everyone. Can we start with Wade?
Ayun, siguro on our end, well, for Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation, true to our mission and vision of empowering Filipinos and also providing financial services anytime and anywhere, we want to first tell young people na first, Cebuana Lhuillier is an organization that really wants to support the youth. which is evidenced by our collaboration with PhilDev Foundation for the Innovation Challenge. And siguro para idagdag dun sa kanina sa question no kung ano yung mga ginagawa for the seniors, yun yung beauty nung Financial Literacy Innovation Challenge, is that it's young people coming together to address certain needs of different segments of society. So if any of our organization applicants feel that they need to respond to the senior citizens of their community, we would very much welcome that na yun yung tuhugin ninyong area. So na-excite kami sa kung ano yung pwedeng mangyari doon sa ating Financial Literacy Innovation Challenge. Ako personally, I've always well, of course, syempre membro pa tayo ng kabataan, tayo naman ay kabataan pa. I've always been an advocate no of youth empowerment and just being involved no. Sa atin ngayon ang importante talaga is to have that avenue. So there are times when we doubt our capabilities, there are times when we question where we're supposed to be, but I think what we should do is we should just constantly look for that avenue kung saan tayo pwedeng makagawa ng where we can make a difference no. And for young people, it's never a competition, and especially when you're working in the development field, it's never a competition as to who can do more, who can do a lot. It's just really about how you can provide service, how you can serve your country, how you can serve your community. So if everyone does their part, then we can really like make a lot of difference in our country. I'd like to invite everyone to just really take part. Look for where you can be involved and do well and do good in it. Siguro on a last note for the Financial Literacy Innovation Challenge and for Cebuana Lhuillier, we will constantly look for ways then to empower young people through our programs. Kami on our end, we're still continuing with our scholarships and our support for alternative learning system. Kapag may opening sa scholarship namin, we will actively promote it because of course we believe in educating the youth. And I would invite everyone to really apply. There are a lot of scholarships available, not only with Cebuana but with other organizations. So all you have to do is really just Google or just really ask your nearby organizations. And then sa ALS naman, tuloy-tuloy lang din ang suporta namin for people, especially those who are out of school and even our adult learners. So tuloy-tuloy lang suporta ni CLFI doon. And yun, so we look forward to more young people really getting involved and more young people getting inspired to do more for their community.
Thank you, Wade. Kevin?
Ayan. For me, very simple lang, no? I mean, actually, whenever as young people, wag nating hayaan ang sitwasyon ngayon na makapigil sa atin na gumawa ng maliliit na proyekto para sa simpleng kahit na kahit na maliit na pagbabago. Kasi yun nga, pag tinipon-tipon mo lahat ng mga simpleng proyekto na ito, malaki rin ang may aambag nito sa talagang mas malaki ang pagbabago. So yun. So when you say change, it's really more access to services for the communities, more people empowered, and at the same time, people who will also be leading, Kumaga, leading their own efforts. Kumaga, na-inspire mo sila, through your efforts, na-inspire mo sila to develop their own projects, So yun. So for us in PhilDev, let's continue to enable success. And for the Innovation Challenge, we're very, very hopeful na this will not just be competition na kung saan merong mananalo at matatalo. Kumbaga, dito magsisimula yung the collaboration that can happen towards making financial literacy a reality for all Filipinos. Yun. So, yun lang, So, let's continue to enable success and mabuhay ang mga kabataan. Yeah.
Thank you, Kevin. Adrian?
Siguro from my end, from a probinsyano, first thing na gusto ko talagang sabihin is that before the pandemic kasi, there were, I can say na napakakaunti ng opportunities for young people in the province to showcase, to to do what they can do because of lack of funding support, lack of technical workshops, something like that, no? Pero because of the pandemic, siguro it made sponsors realize as well the importance of bringing opportunities to local communities, no, and even outside NCR, na nagkaroon ng empowerment dun sa mga kabataan nasa probinsya to we not need to go to Manila to experience these kinds of activities na hindi namin kinailangang lumuwas ng aming mga probinsya para makatulong sa bayan, no, to learn from the experiences of other people. We just have to listen to the people around us, listen to the calls, listen to the stories and narratives of the different sectors na existing in our own communities and be inspired by those stories. And being inspired that natatranslate natin yung mga kwento, yung mga naratibo into actions, into services, into opportunities. If we think that we lack opportunities, meron tayong, siguro because of the pandemic, we also realize the importance of social media and the internet. As a communications graduate, no, we also realized how important it is na magkaroon sana ng access ang bawat kabataan to the internet kasi it is also one way to empower ourselves to learn from the internet, to learn from the things that na ma-access mo sa internet rather. And then if you are that one young person who thinks, no, that he can bring or they can bring opportunities to their communities, you can be that person. You could, no, by yung mga community pantries, it started sa NCR. But it inspired a lot of actions outside NCRs na kahit wala namang funding from outside, there were people inside our communities that were willing to help us establish our community pantries. So maybe in other projects as well that you have in mind, no, if you are still doubting na kung may mga tao bang magsusupport sa you, there are people who are just waiting for young people, for other people to mobilize themselves as well. Kasi napakaba ng sinasabi ko na, no? Ayun nga, kasi iba't iba din naman tayong personality ng tao. Merong mga taong nag-organize talaga and merong mga tao magsusupport na magbibigay ng resources that they have. So siguro wag tayong mawala ng pag-asa, no? I started as someone who was hungry for opportunities as well. Na kailangan kong magpabalik-balik ng Manila to empower myself. But one day I realized na maybe it's time to bring these opportunities to the province as well. Na naisip ko na why not yung mga kakilala ko nasa Manila, guys, if you have programs there, why not let us implement it here in the province? I will be willing to volunteer for that. Maybe it's the energy that you need as well. Na kailangan nating maniwala, yun nga sa sinabi ni Kuya Kevin at Kuya Wade kanina, na kailangan nating maniwala sa mga tao din nasa on the ground, na kaya nilang mag-manage ng kanilang resources, na kaya nilang makinig, na kaya nilang matuto, na kaya nilang madisiplina yung kanilang mga sarili. To quote Vice President Leni Robredo, no, Pilipino tayo, hindi matigas ang ulo natin, hindi tayo pasaway. No, Pilipino tayo, makakapaghanap tayo ng opportunities, makakapaghanap tayo ng solusyon sa bawat problema kinakaharap natin. Pero mas maganda siguro kung gagawin natin ito ng sabay-sabay, gawin natin ito ng sama-sama. Kasi mas malakas yung boses, mas napakikinggan tayo, mas bibigyan tayo ng mga kailangan, ng mga deserve natin. Deserve natin to kasi Pinoy tayo, kasi tao tayo. Yun lang.
Thank you so much, Adrian, for that very, empowering ending. Like, thank you so much for that. Now, that's it, friends. That's it for tonight. I hope you learned as much as I did. Kasi, as I would consider myself as not really financially literate. Pero like, it was just tonight that I was able to know that financial literacy isn't actually gathering your resources, but actually learning how to manage them. It was always that misconception that was in my mind. So I really thank each and every one of you here tonight. Kevin, thank you so much for reminding us that empowering is also believing. Wade, thank you for telling us to take the chance to make other people grow and progress. And Adrian, thank you so much for being a reminder na kayang-kaya ng kabataang Pilipino. Muli, I would like to thank you, Wade, Kevin, Adrian, as well as the Cebuana Lhuillier Foundation Incorporated, the EstrawngHeroes, and PhilDev Foundation for joining us tonight. And to our viewers as well, thank you so much for staying with us until this last segment. And we promise that this isn't the last one for our financial literacy conversation. We have one coming, and for Tayo Talks, we have more coming for you. Again, my name is Ryan Esalana, and I would like to greet everyone a good evening. May you enjoy the rest of your night, and Happy Labor's Day. Araw-araw nating pagdiriwang ang ating mga manggagawa. Maraming salamat, and enjoy the rest of the night.
We have been with you for 108 years, sharing happiness and creating moments together. But now is the time, more than ever, to go beyond by showing up in times when we are needed the most, to reaching you wherever you may be, to serving the ones who need a chance to recover, to rebuild, to restart, to help uplift the lives of other people, while protecting and preserving the resources we all need to survive. It's time to do more than just good. Now is the time to give more, do more, be more. For you, for the communities we serve, for a better future shared by all. Coca-Cola, go beyond good.